Um, so I kind of stopped making videos. Things got crazy, and I just kind of lost track and stopped doing them. Anyway, I had my daughter. She's here apparently. She might be getting fussy now that I turn this on. Um, I had her at 40 weeks and 4 days. I had to be induced. The previous Monday, I went in and had an NST and then also had an ultrasound to check size, position, all of that. And the amniotic fluid was low. So they decided to go ahead and induce me since I had already reached my due date anyway, and I was fine with that. And so I was induced on the morning of Wednesday, June 8th. We had to get there at 5:30, and they started my pitocin at I think I remember it saying at 6:10, and then I started to feel my first contractions because I still had not felt any contractions up to this point. So I felt my first one ever, basically a little bit after 7 o'clock in the morning, and then pretty much just sat around and waited, and my contractions started to get a little bit more intense, and around 11:30 is when they started to really kind of start to hurt. My doctor came in around 9:30 and was going to try to break my water, but I just wasn't progressed enough. I was still just 1 centimeter and 60% effaced, even after being on Pitocin for a little while. So he said he'd come back, and then around 11:30 is when I really started to feel a little bit more pain. At 12:30 he came back, and he was able to break my water then, which meant I could no longer get up to go to the bathroom, all that stuff, which was a pain. And so, which I didn't really understand why they would let me go to the bathroom because my water had broken, I guess. I don't know. But, and then I started asking about that epidural not long after that. I think I'd already inquired about it at that point. But he said he would come back, and he came back, I think sometime around like 1:30 or something. And he checked me, and I was not even quite 3. He said I was a tight 3 centimeters. So he said I should hold off on the epidural for a little while. That way my body could do its thing, and he didn't want it to stall even more. So I waited, but I ended up getting some Nubain because it was just too much at that point. But it took them forever. It took them like an hour. It might not have been that long. It's probably like a half hour or something to get me the Nubain. We had to ask for it a couple times. But once I got that, I was good. I was able to sleep in between contractions and sleep through a lot of my contractions except for like the biggest ones. So that was good. And so he came back and checked me almost exactly an hour after I had the medicine, because that medicine lasted for an hour, and I was starting to come out of it. And so like I was no longer sleeping or anything like that. It was weird. It was like it lasted for exactly an hour, and then it stopped. And so he checked me, and I was between a 3 and a 4. So he said at that point I could get the epidural. So I got the epidural at 4 o'clock, and it was fantastic. I felt so much better. It was great. And so after I got that epidural, I started progressing much quicker than I had before. I think my body was too tense to progress very much on its own. And so when I had the epidural, and even the Nubain helped me progress a little bit, my body kind of relaxed and allowed itself to dilate and efface more. And so I had the epidural. They did have to give me some medication because my blood pressure dropped dramatically after the epidural went down to like 80/40. And so they gave me that, and then also they put an internal monitor on her, but she did not want it, and so it kept acting like her heart rate was dropping, and I think it was dropping a little bit, but the monitor was showing it being a lot more sporadic than what it was. And so he tried like 3 times with the monitor, and finally on the third one it still wasn't working. It kept slipping off or something. But then when he went to go take it off of her, it wouldn't come off. So she did have, and still has a little bit of a tiny little scab on top of her head from where it was attached. But so then they just said whatever and just put the external monitor back on me, and everything was fine again. So then he came back and checked me, and around 7:28, I think is what the paper says, is what time I started to push. So I went all day and only dilated to like a 3.5, and then from 4 to 7:30, I went from 3.5 to fully dilated and fully effaced. So, and then I pushed starting at 7:28, and I had her at 8:12 that night. So I only pushed for about 40 minutes. It wasn't too bad. Because at the epidural, I actually enjoyed the pushing part. I was able to really kind of realize what was going on, and it wasn't just solely feeling pain. I mean, I could still feel pressure, and I wouldn't really call it pain, but I could still feel that there was things going on. But anyway, so this is Nora. She was 7 pounds 8 ounces. When we left the hospital, she was 7 pounds 5 ounces. And then at her appointment the following Monday, after she was born, she was only an ounce below her birth weight. I think now she has her 3-week checkup on this coming Monday. Today's Thursday. So on Monday she has her 3-week appointment, even though she won't be quite 3 weeks yet. And I have a feeling she's going to weigh like upper 8s because my husband weighed himself and then weighed him holding her. And it's like definitely at least 8.5 pounds. So she is gaining weight. She's eating well. She's doing well. She mostly sleeps well. She sleeps a lot during the day. It's kind of hard to keep her awake. I mean, sometimes she's up for like a 2-hour stretch or something. But usually she always sleeps from about 8 until 11:30. And then she wakes up, eats, and then sleeps again for a little bit. And then is up from about 5:30 until 8 at night. And then goes back to sleep. And then lately she's been up for like an hour and a half increments in the middle of the night. But anyway, she's sleeping, so I'm not going to actually pick her up. But this is Nora. I will post a link to a video I made. And it'll have pictures from the day she was born and the first couple days of her life and stuff like that. It also has my belly pictures from the first week until the very last one is the morning we went in for the induction. So I'll post that in the link to you. And hopefully now that I remembered these again, I'll start doing them, especially now that I'm home for the next couple weeks from work. Alright, I will probably make another update soon. We're flying already with her. A week from today, she'll be just over 3 weeks old, so she can go meet the rest of our family up north. Like my dad didn't get to come down, stuff like that. So we'll see how that goes. Hopefully she does well. I really, really, really hope she doesn't cry very much, at least. I don't want people to be annoyed. I know I could always tell if a parent is trying, to console their child. It makes a big difference between if they're trying or if they're just letting them sit and cry. So hopefully if she does cry, people aren't too irritated. I'm definitely going to try nursing her during takeoff and landing, stuff like that. But hopefully she's good, doesn't bother her, and that she's okay and all of that. But should be interesting. Alright, bye.